Good morning. This is Sean Spence with Let's Talk Poverty Perspectives, thoughts on solving poverty in the United States. I want to do something a little different today. I want to tell you about a book I've been writing. Not because I think you owe me your attention on a personal project, but because the reason I wrote it is the same reason you're listening to this podcast, and I think that reason is worth talking about out loud. The book is called Jeff Bezos Could End Poverty. I know what that sounds like. It sounds like a provocation. It sounds like a headline designed to make people angry at a billionaire, angry at me for being naive enough to believe a billionaire could be the answer to everything. That is not what this book is. Stay with me for a minute. Here's the sentence that started everything. I was sitting at my desk looking at 30 years of notes from poverty work, fundraising campaigns, conversations with people in crisis, program evaluations, research reports, and I wrote this in my journal. We already know how to end poverty. The research is in. The models exist. They've been tested, replicated, and documented across hundreds of communities. The Perry preschool data goes back 60 years. Housing First has been proven in cities from New York to Medicine Hat, Alberta. The Earned Income Tax Credit has been studied more thoroughly than almost any social program in American history. We are not waiting for a breakthrough. We are waiting for someone to act. That is a different problem than the one most people think we have. Most people believe poverty persists because it is complicated, because we do not really understand it, because the causes are tangled up in history and race and economics and culture in ways that make solutions elusive. I used to believe that too. I really mostly do not anymore. The more time I spent in this work, the more I came to believe that the real obstacle is not complexity, it is will. And will, unlike complexity, can be changed by a single decision from the right person at the right moment. So, who is the right person? Think about what it would actually take. You would need someone with enough financial resources to fund the coordination infrastructure while the broader coalition assembles. You would need enough credibility in business and philanthropy that when they call a meeting, people show up. You would need a proven ability to build systems that scale, to stay patient through years of investment before the returns become visible, and you would need someone who has already shown genuine interest in the problem. Jeff Bezos meets every one of those criteria. The Bezos Day One Fund already funds homelessness and early childhood education. He spent 30 years building one of the most operationally sophisticated organizations in human history. He has the kind of wealth where a $10 billion commitment would be roughly 4% of his net worth, the equivalent of someone earning $50,000 a year giving $2,000 to a cause they believe in. And he's already said publicly that he thinks about homelessness as solvable. I want to be precise about what I'm arguing. I am not saying Jeff Bezos owes anyone anything. I am not making a moral case that the wealthy should be compelled to solve social problems. What I'm saying is much simpler. One person in this country has a combination of resources and capabilities that is genuinely unprecedented. There is a problem that is genuinely solvable, and those two facts have not been yet been introduced to each other in a serious way. This book is that introduction. It is 33 chapters across 6 parts. It covers the financial model, what the investment would actually cost, what the return would be, where the funding would come from. It covers the strategy, housing, early childhood, healthcare, workforce development, technology, not as separate programs, but as a coordinated system. It includes detailed profiles of 6 other leaders: Obama, Cuban, Mackenzie Scott, Bob Iger, and others who could take this on. if Bezos says no, because the argument is bigger than any single name, and it includes a 20-year implementation timeline broken into phases with governance structures and measurable milestones, because a plan that cannot be executed is just an essay. Here's the question I want to leave you with today. We talk a lot on this podcast about solutions that work, about evidence and scale and will. So let me ask it plainly. If you knew that the problem of sustained poverty in the United States was solvable within your lifetime, and that the resources to solve it already existed, and that what was missing was not knowledge or money, but coordination and leadership, what would you be willing to do to make that happen? I wrote a book. That's what I could do. Maybe you share it. Maybe you talk about it. Maybe it finds its way to someone who can do something larger than either of us. Poverty is solvable. I believe that with every fiber of my being, and I am not done saying it. I am Sean Spence. This is Let's Talk Poverty Perspectives. Thank you for being here. You can learn more at povertyactivist.com, and together we can solve poverty.